come visit him in California and and try to talk to him and so forth. I think he respected me the same way in that manner. And I began to tell him, I said, man, you just kind of spinning your wheels out here in California. I said, man, why don't you go back to Georgia? You were on top of the world down there. I think you could have been mayor down there. You out here, telling me about all the pretty women that you met from all over the world. And for what? Man, going back down there. And so he would come and he'd listen, and then maybe he'd call you up one day. He said, man, you're right. He said, I'm getting ready to pack up. I'm going back to Georgia. And I was very pleased when he said that, because I thought he would get a better grip down there in Georgia. You know, I had recommended that he come to California because Richard, I'm trying to figure out if Richard entered medical school before Henry or not. Maybe Henry got in, but Richard went to school with the intent to go to medical school because he said, well, you told dad, see, I tried it, but I had been in West Africa and wheeling and dealing and doing business and stuff there. And I told dad, I said, well, listen, I tried this pre-med stuff and everything, but I just don't have a feel for it. I want to be in business. And so that's the other thing I liked about dad. He never tried to twist your arm. He let you see for yourself. Okay. But Richard was watching. He said, yeah, I watched you. And I heard you when you told dad that you didn't want to go to medical school. And then Henry, he was such a gadfly. He dressed like a pirate and, he was just out there. And so Richard being like he was, he saw Henry being more of a playboy. Henry just had the ability to do what neither one of us could do. I was a little better than Richard because I could study and pass the tests. Richard had a little problem, with his studying and so forth. He had to work harder. Henry didn't have that. He didn't read it. He might read it the night before and go in there and get an A. See? So it just didn't impact him. So he didn't see Henry really being serious about going to med school. But Henry was very serious about it. He went up until that time, there had been no child of a black doctor in Minnesota who had been invited to attend the University of Minnesota Medical School. So Henry sent away to Mexico. He spoke Spanish anyway. And so he was invited to come to the University of Mexico Medical School at Tampico on the Gulf of Mexico. And that's where he did his first 2 years of medical school. And so now when it's time to come back to the United States, he applied to medical school at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. And he applied to Meharry, and he applied to a number of schools. Now, I was kind of upset because Minnesota had done that. But, you keep moving, keep things moving. And so after 2 years, he was selected to attend the University of Pennsylvania Medical School, but they told him that we'll only give you credit for your first year. You have to do your second year over again. And your dad was the one that talked him into it because he was mad. Oh, man, I don't know. They did me. I should get 3 years. And so, and dad said, man, go go on and accept it and get through it. He said, you'll have plenty time to live your life, to engage in your profession, blah, blah, blah. And so Henry accepted the invitation to the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. And he had just got off the train, him and his family arrived there in the car, whatever, however they got there, when the invitation came to the office. My office, business office, was upstairs in the medical center, okay? And when I collected the mail, there was this letter from Meharry down in Nashville. And when I opened it up, it said that we are inviting you to attend Meharry Medical College in Nashville and at Fisk University in Nashville, and we will give you credit for your third year. So I called him out in Philadelphia and said, man, Meharry is offering you the third year. So if I were you, I'd throw my stuff back on that train and head on to Nashville. And that's what he did. And that's where he finished. He went and completed his next couple of years down there. And then when he was finishing up there, he applied again to Minnesota. He applied to come back to Minnesota. They turned him down. That's how he got accepted in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Medical School, and at Meharry. Then when he got ready to become an intern, he applied in Minnesota again, and they turned him down. And then he was accepted at Martin Luther King Hospital out in Los Angeles, California, to come out there and do his internship and his residency out there. And boy, you talking about really, really mad. I was really upset. Really upset. Now I can remember that because I can almost taste the bitterness that I had. Here again, a child of a black medical doctor from Minnesota, and he's gone through all of this stuff that you've denied him, and now he can't even come back and do his internship here in the city, in the state that he grew up in. And so I knew that it was unlikely that he was going to come back. Once you get out there for 5 or 6 years, unless it's a terrible environment, you ain't coming back to Minnesota. And Dad said to me, he said, I think it's a good thing, which it would turn out to be, but I didn't know it at the time. He said, I think it's a good thing because with all of the politics and all of the pressure that I've been under here in Minnesota, he said, once my time is up, that will fall on his shoulders. I think he said that to me when Henry went out there. I think Henry went out there about 1978, 78 or 79. And he had been practicing out there